Hey guys, Irene here, and today I'm gonna do another Photoshop tutorial for you guys as I haven't done one in forever. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different. I just shot these pictures yesterday and I don't really know what I'm gonna do with them yet. I don't know how I'm gonna edit them yet, but I just wanted to do this tutorial and show you guys kind of my thought process and showing you how I added the picture from the very start till the end without me really knowing what I'm gonna do with it yet. I don't even know what I'm gonna call this tutorial yet. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. It might be a little bit longer than my tutorials usually are, but that's okay. So this beautiful model's name is Hati, and I've shot with her before. You probably have seen her on my Instagram. I will link her Insta in the description. Also, I shot this with my 5D Mark III 85mm 1.2 lens. This is my regular setup that I use. Um, this was shot around 5:30 p.m. It was kind of cloudy, but the sun was peeking through just a little bit so you can see all of that light behind her. This is the shot that I really like. I really love when you can get the really awesome depth of field, and the way I achieve it is that she's standing in the middle of the pathway with some of the trees in the background and in the foreground. And so the ones in the back are really blurred out and the ones in the front are slightly blurred out. So it creates that really awesome 3D effect and makes the picture look more realistic. I also shot this at 1.2 f-stop. So yeah, the really high aperture, the lens is wide open, and I'm also gonna expand this picture, probably make it a little bit more symmetrical. Also, I am using Photoshop CS6, and I'm also using my Wacom Intuos small pen and touch tablet for editing. So yeah, let's just get started. I'm gonna go ahead and open it in Photoshop. I did shoot this image in RAW, so it's opening it in camera RAW. If you did not shoot your image in RAW, which you should always shoot your images in RAW, if you shoot it in JPEG, you just won't have as much control over the way you edit the picture. Like you won't be able to edit your white balance or your exposure as well as you would in RAW. But if you did shoot your picture in JPEG, you can still open it in Camera Raw. All you have to do is go to File, Open As, choose whatever image you have shot, and then here just switch it to Camera Raw, press Open, and it's gonna open it in Camera Raw. I am not sure if every single version of Photoshop has Camera Raw preset. If not, you can always go to Adobe's website and download the Camera Raw. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna play with exposure and contrast. Now, she is more in the shade than the background, so I will lower the highlights down just a little bit and bring the shadows up. Doing so will mess up the skin texture a little bit, but we can easily fix that in Photoshop, so that's not what I'm worried about here. I just mostly focus on making sure that the background looks nice and I get a lot of nice detail out of the picture. So I'm also gonna put the clarity up just a little bit. It just makes the picture a lot sharper. You can see over here, this is kind of what we've done so far. It just brings a lot more detail here. And I'm also gonna make it a lot warmer, just a little bit, lower the pinks a little bit here. Bring out the whites just a little bit. I'm just kind of playing around with settings here and just trying to figure out what looks good. I think this is alright. Maybe I'm gonna bring the vibrance just a little bit. What happens a lot is that if you bring the clarity up, your vibrance is not gonna, the picture is not gonna be as vibrant anymore. So usually if you are bringing the clarity up, you want to bring the vibrance up just a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and make the picture a little bit sharper and also a little bit smoother. This luminance noise reduction thing just makes everything like smooth. Don't put it up too high because it might look really fake. And now I'm gonna play with colors, so I'm gonna go right here. I'm gonna bring the reds a little bit to more of a yellow side. And then play with saturation. We're gonna bring yellows up, bring them a little bit more to this orangey side right here. And you're gonna make greens more green. Just in general, we're gonna make the picture a little bit more saturated here. Just play with the colors. Okay, so I think this looks good. So now I'm just gonna press this button right here. I'm gonna press save settings, save, and we're just gonna call it fall. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and open my image. So now I also have shot some of the pictures above her just so I could expand the picture if I wanted to. So I'm gonna go ahead and open this. And I'm gonna go ahead and apply the same preset that I just made. So here it is, fall. I do it just so that it matches the image that we just had, so I don't have any problems later on matching up the colors and stuff like that. So now I'm gonna go back to our previous picture and I'm gonna crop it like so. Okay, that looks good. So now because I positioned her in the very middle, this part right here is missing a little bit, so we're gonna go ahead and choose this tool right here, select the area around her. Don't get her into your selected area because we're gonna be stretching this out and we do not want to stretch our model. Right click on it, free transform, right click again, distort, and we're just gonna pull it to the side. Just like that. And we're going to apply the transformation and deselect the selection. Now we're just going to go ahead and expand it. So I'm going to grab this right here. Again, with the selection tool on, we're just going to right click on it, press duplicate the layer and duplicate it on top of the first image. Now I can just kind of go ahead and try to match this up. To help you out with matching the picture, you can also just click here and press multiply and just make sure that this matches up as much as it possibly can. And usually I don't look at the girl here or the model. I'm making sure that the trees, the branches are matching up. Okay, that looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose my eraser tool. And I always have my brush on the soft rounded brush, and I just kind of go ahead and make sure that I delete it off of her face and just kind of around, but I do not delete where the two layers meet, just to make sure that you have the soft gradient transition into these two layers. Now you can go ahead and change it to normal to see if everything matches up and looks good. You can just kind of play around with it. I think our top layer is just a little bit lighter than the layer down, so I'm just gonna go ahead, press image, adjustments, curves, and I'm just gonna bring it down a little bit. Okay, I think that looks way better. It matches better now. So now we're just still missing a little bit of the space right here. So with that layer selected, I'm just gonna go ahead and use this tool again and do the same thing and just kind of distort this little spot right here. Now I'm gonna go ahead and merge these two layers, and I'm gonna once more select the area here and distort it to the side just a little bit like that. Okay, that looks good. So I'm gonna go ahead and deselect. Okay, that looks good, but I want to just fix a little thing right here. So I'm just gonna make this a little bit smaller, like so, and then I want to kind of move this whole branch right here a little bit closer to her. I just want it to be a little bit more symmetrical with this side right here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select this lasso tool, and I'm just gonna go ahead and select this area right here, like so, like this. And now I'm gonna click back to the selection tool, um, click layer via copy, and now we copied this selected layer on top of the other one. So as you can see, if I move it, there it is. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna move it a little bit closer to her, like that. Okay, that's perfect. And then I'm gonna take an eraser tool and kind of just erase the, let's make it smaller. I'm just gonna erase the edge to make it transition a lot smoother. And because my background is so blurred out, it looks very natural. You can't even see the difference. It literally looks the same. I'm gonna go ahead and merge these layers, and I'm gonna cut this out. Okay. Let's actually just crop just a little bit here and maybe make it just a little bit taller. Okay, that's good. I usually spend a lot of time on just the composition itself. I'm using the same technique here, just the distortion technique, and now bringing it up. I spend a lot of time on the composition of the picture itself, just kind of trying to make it symmetrical and pleasing to the eye, because I really think that it can make the picture stand out a lot more. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start on the skin editing. This is the first thing that I do when I get to the model, and I'm just gonna zoom in. And I also like to use my patch tool. If you don't know where the patch tool is, it is usually set on the healing brush, so you just right click on it and select the patch tool. It just works the best for me. I also will duplicate the layer before I do anything else. I do have my duplicate layer in the actions, but if you do not know how to make it, it's just simply right click, duplicate layer, and press OK. Or you can also just drag your duplicate layer into this little spot right here and it will duplicate it for you. Lots of ways of doing it. This is why I love Photoshop, is because so many different ways of doing the same exact thing. But yeah, I'm gonna select my patch tool, and all I'm doing is I'm selecting the area that I don't like and dragging it to the area that I do like. The patch tool is great because it adjusts not only the color but the skin texture, and this is why I really like it. We won't see a ton of skin texture in this image just because of the settings that it was shot at, but I don't think that it matters too much just because it's such a big image and you won't really see a lot of the details on the model anyways. But I just really like to make sure that everything in my image is perfect, so I will go ahead and just kind of edit out all of the little hairs that are sticking out. And she has really dark hair, so you can really see it on her fair skin, and yeah, they're just kind of driving me crazy. So I'm just gonna go ahead and edit out every single hair that I can see sticking out. You can also grab your eraser tool if you think like you did something a little bit too much, and you can kind of go back and fix whatever you didn't like. I'm also gonna just grab a pipette tool here, select the color of her hair, and then grab a really small, really tiny brush and just kind of go like this to fix some of the spots. Alright, I think that looks good. Okay, let me just see. I don't know if I like this hair on her face. Okay, we'll leave it for right now. Okay, so after I've done that, I'm gonna go ahead and merge my layers. And yes, I like to merge my layers all the time. It's just my preference. If you do not like to do that, just simply don't leave them out. It's just the way I like to edit, and it never caused me any trouble. Okay, so I'm gonna take this pipette tool. I don't think that this is what it's called. I think it's like I don't know, it samples the color. So I'm gonna sample the color on her forehead here. Take my brush, which is still a rounded, soft brush, and I'm just gonna kind of lightly tap on her forehead to smooth out any of the imperfections. Again, I'm using the tablet, so I do not need to do anything with my opacity. But if you are using a mouse, please lower your opacity to about 15%. You can just play around with it and see what works the best for you. But I kind of do it for everything on the face. I'm gonna sample the color here on the nose bridge. Make my brush a little bit smaller and just kind of put it up higher right here. Now she has some darker color right here by the nose. I'm just going to soften it up just a little bit. So I'm going to sample the color here, and with a smaller brush just kind of go ahead around that area. That's it. I'm going to sample the color here on her cheekbones and just put it under her eye a little bit more to brighten it up. You would do the same with concealer. Then I'm going to sample the skin on the chin. Again, adjust my brush and just slightly tap right there. Okay, that looks good. Let me actually adjust the color under her eyes. Let's just select this color here. For some reason, it's a little bit more orange than it should be. Doesn't really match up with the rest of her skin. I don't know how that happened. Okay, I think that's way better. And let me actually select this color right here and just put it on the side of her nose. Okay, cool. Okay, so that looks good. And I'm just gonna go ahead and merge the layers. Let's back it up. Looks pretty good. I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate the layer again and then go to filter and liquify. And another thing that I do in every single video of mine, I like to make the hair bigger. So she already has like a lot of hair, but we're gonna make it even bigger. So I'm just gonna take this right here, the forward warp tool, and I'm gonna make my brush a little bit bigger. And I'm gonna start pulling on the sides of her hair. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna zoom in just a little bit, and there's a few things that I want to fix. First of all, one of her eyes looks bigger than the other one, and this is completely normal. A lot of people have that. I have that also. My one eye is always bigger than the other one in pictures. I'm gonna get my brush really small, and this is very delicate work, okay? You gotta be extremely, extremely careful here to um, not kind of mess it up. And I'm just kind of moving it around slightly just to make sure that two eyes will match up just a little bit more. I'm also going to do the same with the eyebrow here, just to make them a little bit more symmetrical, and same with the lips. I'm just going to make them a little bit more symmetrical. Okay, that's perfect. Also, another thing that I like to do, let's make the brush a little bit bigger, maybe not that big. I'm gonna just bring these corners down of her hair. Just to make the face look a little bit more oval rather than square. And it's just simply the way the hair falls. Alright, that looks awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and press OK. So this is what we've changed here. I think it's pretty dramatic and just makes it look so much more polished. Like this is before and after. Cool, I'm gonna go ahead and merge the layers. And now we're gonna have some fun with the highlight and shadow. As I say in my every single tutorial, I have these two as my actions in my Photoshop. It's just a lot easier to use it that way because I use them in every single picture. If you don't have them yet in your actions, if you haven't watched any of my other tutorials, I will leave a link to a separate video where I show how to make just these actions. So go ahead, check those videos out, and then come back. It's gonna make a lot more sense. So I'm just gonna go ahead and play my highlight action, and I'm gonna start applying it with just a small rounded brush. I like to apply these in the same way you would highlight and contour. So whenever the light is hitting her face, you're just going to intensify it. So here on the nose bridge, and then I like to do the cupid's bow and above the lip. It just brings the lip forward, making it a little bit bigger. Then on the lower lip in the very middle. Then we can make the brush a little bit bigger and highlight her cheekbones. Just like that. Her chin and a little bit on her forehead. That's perfect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and play with the eyes. So I like to zoom in a lot more and get my brush really small. We can intensify the highlight in her eye. If you're not sure where to put it, again, you can just follow the natural highlight and kind of intensify it. I like to go in the inner corner right here. Sometimes I like to go in the waterline. It makes the eye look a little bit bigger. And I also like to go a little with a brush that's a little bit bigger underneath her eyebrow. Okay, that looks great. And this is before and after the highlight. It's just, again, just makes the picture look a lot more 3D and realistic. I'm also going to highlight her hair just a little bit, especially the ones that are surrounding her face. Okay, that looks great. Let's highlight her arm also. Just gonna make the brush a little bit bigger. Okay, that looks good. So this is before and after highlighting. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and play my shadow actions, and we're just gonna intensify the shadows in her face. So what I like to do here is I like to start with the eyes, as I think it makes the most difference on the eyes. I like to go heavy on her eyelashes, intensify them right like this. And also with people that have bigger eyebrows like that, I like to make them even more kind of bushy. So I'll go with a very small brush and just kind of make little hair strokes like this. It makes it look very, very detailed, and I absolutely love doing this. Now I'm going to choose a bigger brush and I'm going to kind of intensify the shadows here just on the sides. Makes the eye look more elongated and cat-like. Same I'm going to do on the lower lash line like this. We can also contour the nose just a little bit and run this on the bottom of the nose and on the sides here. I will also do that on the bottom of her bottom lip like this. Creating this shadow makes the lip look a little bit bigger. You can contour on the sides of her face as well, so on the sides of the chin and the holes of her cheeks like this. It's gonna look different on every model, so you can kind of again play around with this and see. If it looks too thick, you can always go ahead and delete it. Also, over here at her roots, I'm gonna actually put a little bit of that as well. So they look a little bit lighter than the hair. I'm gonna fix it even more later. And we're also gonna do the same on her arms, so this time just on the sides. I also sometimes like to do this around her. It kind of makes her stand out even more. Okay, that looks great. So this was the before and after. These shadows, really like this. I don't think we need to do more. I'm just gonna go ahead and merge all of my layers. Now I'm gonna go ahead and play with colors. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose gradient map. I want to put a very warm tone on this, so I'm gonna create a gradient that's kind of a neutral warm tones. Let's start with this one and make it a little bit different. So here, let's choose something that's more red, but like a darker red, almost like orangey. Mm. Okay, let's try this one, see what it's gonna look like. And I really like the multiply. And then we're just gonna lower the opacity. Yeah, to about 18. I think that looks nice. I'm just gonna go ahead now and play with some selective color. So we can bring the reds, so we're gonna make them a little bit more red and a little bit more yellow and a little bit darker. Now let's do something to the yellows. Let's make them more yellow and a little bit more red. Just gonna make them a little bit more warm. And let's bring the greens. So let's make them greener, even like a little bit bluish. Yeah, that looks great. Okay, then the science will kind of change the color of her dress. Let's see, blue or more green? Yeah, I think more green because now it's gonna fit a little bit better with the picture itself. Ooh, I kind of like this color, just kind of muted. Okay, I kind of like this color. All right, that looks great. I think I'm gonna leave it at this for the coloring. Let's go and merge these layers. I'm just gonna go ahead and lighten her up just a little bit before the last thing that I'm gonna do to this image. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose curves and bring this up and just the contrast down, just like so. And then I'm just gonna press Control I, and I'm just gonna take my brush and apply this only to my model. This way we are applying those curves only to her. See, this was before and after, and not the background. Okay, let's merge the layers. Let's see. Okay, this looks awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and save this as the JPEG. Just call it 1. Okay, so now I can close my picture and open it again, but in camera raw. So I'm gonna go ahead, open as, choose my image, change here to camera raw and open, because I really want to apply a few things here that I can only do in camera raw. I can also do it in Lightroom, but I like to just keep it all in Photoshop. So I'm gonna bring up the clarity, bring up the exposure and the contrast and the shadows. And let's do the vibrance a little bit as well. Let's put a little bit more green here. Alright, so yeah, this is before and after. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead, open the image. I think... Okay, yeah, I think this is it. This is the finished image. Let me just open up the original image and we'll just compare these two. Okay, so yeah, this is before and this is after. It's quite a dramatic difference. I really love how this turned out. So if you guys also like this tutorial, please leave it a like and subscribe to my channel to not miss any more of my videos. Let me know what else you would like to see next, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!